Ron, what is it that when you're making a decision like this and still not sure yet, what are the factors that you're looking at?
Well, I just want to make sure I've got an opportunity to speak to everybody before I make a decision. I want to make sure I've got all the thoughts and ideas and concepts. And, again, at the end of the day, the decision is going to be made based on what I believe is best for us going forward. It, I think, gives us the best opportunity right now. That's what this is really about.
Ron, how big is the player's opinion in this situation?
Well, it's important to me. I mean, they should have a voice and understand, as far as what I'm thinking as well.
What do you see from Taylor and Carson after reviewing the tape?
Well, I thought there was a lot of positives on both sides. I thought Taylor did some really good things. There were some opportunities I think that we could have taken advantage of as well. I thought Carson coming in and having played in a while was a little rusty at first, and then he started to sharpen up. He showed he made quick decisions, and so that was good to see. It was, there's still some things that he can continue to work on, improve as well.
Ron, how much does the state of the offensive line weigh on this decision, particularly with pass protection?
Well, I think it's actually, I'm not as worried about it. I think it's people are making it out to be. I mean, on up to a certain point, we were handling it pretty well. And then once it got to a certain point, it became tough on those guys.
With Chase Young, how did he come out of the game, and what are you going to be able to get from him this week?
Well, I thought Chase came out really well. He did some really good things on tape. We exceeded what we thought. We were shooting for 12 to 16, but we did tell him that I would check with him to see where he was. I would check with the trainers to see how they felt about him. And when we got to that point, he was still anxious, ready to go. And I did tell him, hey, look, we just want to be smart. We will play you a few more, but again, we don't want you to get fatigued. The last thing we want is for you to get hurt again. He just kept saying, Coach, I'm in great shape. That's one thing I kept up. So, and he showed us. He did a nice job. So next week, the expectation is to see if he can go a little bit more. I think we'll put a little bit more on him in terms of, playing him earlier in the downs, playing him a few more reps in a row before we rotate him out. So I'm pretty excited and anxious to continue to watch him continue to develop.
And can you speak to just what he brought to the table and his play itself out there, and kind of what you get from a guy like that was nice to see?
Well, he's a high energy guy, and when things are going well, and he's doing the things he's capable of, he can be a high impact kind of guy. I think what he'll do too is if he's can get himself to form up quickly up to form, people will start have to pay attention to him a little bit more as well. And that, I think, will help offset some of the stuff that Montez has been having to deal with all season.
And what's your expectation for Cam Curl? Do you think he has a good shot to play this weekend?
I think so. I know, Nikki, you got a chance to see him work out on Sunday morning, and he was really close. He really was, and it was one of those things that he just couldn't stick it and go, but he was close. He really was. And, and watching him in rehab today, and seeing him do some of the one-legged stuff, that was, I think he's a lot closer than he was last week.
What did you miss without him in there?
Well, he's a little bit of an air traffic controller. He can help get guys lined up. And he's one of those guys that thinks very quickly on his feet. So if he sees somebody out of place, he can get himself into position to help take up that spot. So he's a very headsy, smart football player. He runs very, very well for his size. So he's like he's like an impact linebacker at times when he's down in the box, and then when he's back in coverage, because of his speed and range, he can cover a lot of ground.
Ron, just back to QB real quick. Could what happens over the next 2 weeks at that position have a real impact on who your quarterback is in 2023?
Well, I think what happens in the next 2 weeks is going to have a high impact on this football team right now. I mean, that's what I'm really more concerned with right now is getting into the playoffs. We have a football game that we got to win, so we're going to focus all the attention on that.
I know it was a kind of a short glimpse of Carson Wentz in there, but did he show you anything within that span that really instilled more confidence that he has an even greater understanding of the offense and comfort there?
Well, I think what he showed, Nikki, was that he's fully healthy. He's fresh, got fresh legs right now. Got a lively arm. He made very quick decisions. He showed us that quick twitch that you look for in quarterbacks. And his decision making seemed to be right on. One of the things that he handled very well was he picked up the blitz a couple times and got the ball out very quickly, which was something that, you know, early on, and I think he wasn't as quick with. Now it looks like he's got a little bit better sense and better feel for that, especially within this offense.
Hey, Ron, you've continued to split reps at tackle with Cosme and Lucas. Do you anticipate Cosme eventually becoming back to being the full-time starter at right tackle to where he was before the various injuries?
Well, I think he has an opportunity to be one of our starters. He played at guard as well and played pretty well for us. So I with him, with Cos, it's just a matter of him staying healthy too. You know, every time we got ready to rotate him back in or work him back in, you know, he got hurt that last game a couple of weeks ago in New York. So it's one of those things that if we can just, you know, maintain his health and keep him going, we can, you know, we can do something with him.
Did Antonio Gibson come out of the game okay? We saw Dax Milne at return, and then Jonathan Williams play some of those snaps there.
Antonio's got a sprain, and so we're going to have to monitor that very closely this week.
Is that a sprained ankle? Sorry.
He has a sprain. We'll give you the full report tomorrow when we practice.
Ron, when you're talking to some of the players about who should be the starting quarterback, are there a select few? Is it just the captains, or you kind of going around each locker kind of doing a vote, like raise your hand if you want Taylor or raise your hand if you want Carson?
No, what I'm really doing with it, Darren, is I'm just trying to get into a conversation with individuals, you know, and just kind of talk to them and listen to them, and then be able to talk and so they can listen to me. I think right now, you know, in terms of communications, I think listening is a lot better as opposed to doing those things. So I'm really, there's a few guys that I want to make sure I touch bases with and get an opportunity to sit down and talk to.
Two
more.
Ron, is this a lot harder this time around? Just because, you know, last time when you chose Heineke over Wentz, you guys are rolling. Do you guys find it? How does the situation kind of affect the decision you have to make?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that go into it, and there's a lot of factors, and so for me, you know, just trying to be able to legitimately answer those factors, those things that that I think about, those things that I have to contemplate in terms of my decision making.
Last
So,
one.
Is it harder or not, Matt? I would say they're all hard. You know, they all are hard, no matter how you look at it. And quite honestly, it's something that I've thought about for 12 seasons, is how would I ever handle this if I ever got to this point? And this is the first time I've really gotten to this point as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically similar to my question. I mean, just at this point of the year, I mean, is this, you know, you have two QBs who can play. So I don't want to say, like, is this a good problem? And I don't even want to call it a problem. You know, to have it this time of year, or is it just another tough decision that you have to make along the way?
Well, first of all, I think we're in good situation. I think our circumstances are good, because I do like both guys. I do think both guys are more than capable. That's for sure. I just, as I go through this, is these circumstances, you know, do they dictate this is what I do? And once I decide to do it, and we'll see how it all unfolds, and at some point I'll be able to sit down and really talk about it once we're done.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.